Welcome to the Yellow Jacket Football Show. Carl Gurgis with Jacket head mentor James Gage. Coach, last evening, 41-17 over Cleveland. General George Patton would have been mighty proud of you because, baby, you were ground game all the way.
You know, we had the opportunity the other night to do something we hadn't done, a whole lot of here lately, and that's big play people. We had several big plays the other night. So obviously a very exciting night for our kids, but I think the most exciting part was it wasn't just one kid. There were several kids that spread. We were able to spread the ball around and had some huge plays. But we played a little bit sloppy as the game went on, but overall very pleased with the effort and obviously early on we were able to get on them and like I said, we had some really big plays early. 96%
of the offense on the ground, Old Army. Ronnie Pavlis, only three carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ryan Garcia chipped in with 125 yards, so you spread it around a lot more than just those two.
We've been choking a lot lately. We're not a very good coaching staff because Riley's got 4 carries in his career for over 200 yards, and he's got 4 touchdowns. So we've got to find a way to get him the ball more. But he had 1 carry last year for 60 yards and a touchdown, and then this year he's already got 200 yards on 4 carries. So he's got 260 yards and 4 touchdowns. And
so somebody's coaching quite well, and
I can't take credit for that one, but no, he's off to a good start, and he's playing a lot more offense right now than he did last year. He's playing both ways, still starting in the secondary, and then Ryan Garcia, he started last year for us as a junior, and we're kind of using him in a little bit different role this year, and he's kind of shown, 5 carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns, and so he's shown that he's got some big playability as well.
Well, we can talk about the offense, but obviously the defense played a heck of a game. Only 248 net yards. You had an interception by Lorenzo Lewis. Jackets recovered the fumble, and you only punted one time too, so it's sort of a combination.
Yeah, so anytime you're only punting one time, you're doing a good job. But Lorenzo Lewis the other night had a huge interception down inside the 10-yard line, I think it was, and at that point it was a pretty tight ball game. They had kind of gotten the momentum back in favor of them, and he was able to come up with a big stop, and we went down and held them to a field goal. They had a short field, and after a turnover of ours, and our defense was able to hold them to a field goal, and that made it 14-10. And then the very next play, we returned the kickoff and kind of got the momentum back in our favor. So defense came up with some really big stops the other night. We gave up 1 or 2 big plays, but for the most part, we made them earn everything that they had.
Well, the name of the game is the team play, and that's exactly what. How many players did you actually think you got into the game?
Oh, probably we were up over probably 40, 45 total kids
and
that got in and got snaps.
45 or 40.
We were right around 50, so we almost got every kid into the game the other night. And there's going to be certain games where we don't get every kid in, and then obviously our ultimate goal is to be able to get every kid into every game. So. At the end of the day, it's about winning, and it's the ultimate team game, and so we're all about the team, and we felt like, last week was a great team win.
Well, you've got a lot of highlights, I'm sure, and we want to look at them, okay?
Yeah, we'll come back from a break, and we'll take a look at them.
Well, Coach, we've got a lot of highlights, and I know you'd like to get into that right now.
Yeah, let's take a look at all the good things we did last week. So this was early on in the game, it was a 7-0 game, and we were able to, actually this may have been a 0-0 game. This may have been our first touchdown of the night, but there's Ryan Garcia again showing off some of his talent. He's not a big kid. He's only about 5'6", but he's real shifty, and he's got a lot of speed that we kind of didn't know about. And so he was able to get around the edge right there. Chuck Phillips, the receiver, gets a great block on the safety. Caden Hodson gets out there and gets on that outside linebacker, and you see Ryan Garcia with the cut and then running away from the defense right there. So just a big play early on, and again, we like to move the ball down the field, but anytime we can score from 50-plus yards out, we'll take it. But obviously a great start for us right there, and really gave us some momentum going early, got the momentum going early for us.
Well, Ryan had 125 yards with a 58-yard TD run this time with 2 touchdowns.
Great night for him.
Sure was.
All right, so this is one of Riley Pavlis' big plays right here. We walked the big tight end over Zane Bailey. We're running our read option stuff, and there goes Braden Griffin, reads it, pitches it like he's supposed to. And then again, we talked about it last week. Riley Pavlis had a great year in track last year, and he shows his breakaway speed right there. And there was a flag on the play, so nobody really knew what to do. The sidelines were kind of dead. Everyone thought we had some type of holding call or something, but then the official let us know that they were offsides, and once we found out they were offsides, the sideline went nuts. And so again, Big play for Pavlis right there. He had 1 carry last week for a touchdown. This was his 2nd carry of the year for a touchdown. So at this point, he had touched the ball 3 times and had 3 touchdowns in his career.
Pretty good average.
That's a pretty good start for your career. I think he had 1 carry the other night where he didn't score, and he came over to the sideline. We asked him, "What's going on, man? You didn't score that time." So, but again, you see his speed. We're really hoping for a big year out of him. So this was right before half. It was 20-10, and we just held them to a stop, and we weren't sure if we wanted to run the clock out or what we wanted to do, and it worked out in our favor. We ran one of our best plays, the same exact play that he scored on earlier, just to the other side, and again, you see he's the only one in the end zone by about 20 yards, and so that just goes back to his speed. Again, that track speed that he showed, and anytime he gets out in the open, he's not going to get caught. And so, again, we walked the tight end right there. They kind of rolled that little safety down. We read the end, pitch off that guy. Isaiah Vaughns gets just enough of the safety, makes him go underneath him right there. And then again, it's hard to tell who that was on the perimeter. I think that was Dart Fletcher out there. But again, you get Riley Pavlis in space, he's most likely going to take it to the house.
Pavlis had 147 yards only on 3 touches.
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
50 yards.
Here's Ryan Garcia's 2nd touchdown of the night. Was it actually a bobbled snap, balls on the ground. He picks it up and just kind of makes 2 guys miss, gets back underneath. But the blocking on the perimeter, Sammy Fernandez gets a great block right there, and then Aiden Villalobos right there with the big block as well. And that was actually one of our crushes of the week. I think we'll talk about that here in a minute. But, again, good blocking right there by Chuck Phillips on the safety, gets him inside. Isaiah Vaughns out in front, just leading the way. And again, big block right there. It sets him free for the touchdown. So you get 4 big blocks in the secondary out of an offensive lineman, a fullback, a receiver, and a running back. That's the reason for this big play right there. But again, a great run by Ryan, kind of dipped inside, worked back out, and then just used his blocking to his advantage.
487 total offensive yards the other night. That's a good evening.
That's a good night. And so you see our players of the week for offense this week were Ryan Garcia, who you said he had the 125 yards of offense, and then Pavlis, what did he have, 147 yards. So I'd say, what is that, 275 yards between the 2 of them. That's in 4 touchdowns. That's a pretty good night for those 2 kids.
You would take that any night.
We'll definitely take it again this week for sure. But both kids are seniors. Both kids ran track, and I think you're starting to see some of that track speed come into play right there with them. But they had great weeks, and those were our 2 offense players of the week this week.
On defense, you only allowed 248 net yards. Interception by Lorenzo Lewis. Recovered 1 fumble along the way, and the Jackets only punted 1 time. So you had a lot of ball possession.
Right. And so we'll take a look at some of our defensive highlights here. They played great. Again, running to the football, big plays when they get the opportunity, and they are, they're playing fast. So you see Dennis Peterson right there. The clip kind of starts late, but he gets in there, gets his hand on him, and then number 4, Caden Hodson, boom, goes and pops them both right there, knocks them down. And that was actually our big hit of the week right there for Caden Hodson. But boom, right there again, running to the football. That's Drew Bingham showing up. Christian Soria showing up. There's Chris Macias kind of getting held right there. But just a great job again early on, kind of setting the tone with the big hit on that. And that was a big running back right there. So to knock him backwards, obviously, he had to have packed a little bit of a punch.
Well, you had 4 to 5 players around the play too. Again, it's not just a one-man game.
Right. And we're tackling him outside the numbers. That's one thing we want to do, is make the ball go sideways. We want the ball to go sideways, and we're trying to tackle those guys outside the numbers. And so anytime we can get the ball to go towards the sideline instead of straight north and south, that means we're kind of plugging everything up inside and bouncing it to our athletic kids out there.
Only 248 net yards that the opponents got. You had an interception along the way, which we'll see, and then you recovered a 1 fumble as well.
Yep, so that's anytime you can create a few turnovers. We actually lost the turnover battle this week, but the 2 turnovers that we had led to points. So I think that's the most important thing, is anytime we turn the ball over, we want to get a stop, and anytime we create a turnover, we want to go get points. And so we were able to score both times off of our turnovers. So there's Zane Bailey right there. He's a junior, playing tight end, playing defensive end for us. Creates kind of a bad snap, but he gets pressure inside and doesn't quit on the play. That's Dennis Peterson forcing it back inside. And then again, we have a hula hoop kind of deal that we work with our defensive lineman right there, and that's Zane pretty much running that hoop. He's coming around that tight edge right there and able to get back on the quarterback. So pretty cool to see some of the summer drills and off-season drills that we've been working come into play right there. But just a great effort out of him, and then you see Jose Bautista coming off the backside right there, and able to kind of bottle the quarterback in and make the play.
And it's easy to see that you only allowed 248 total net yards for the entire 60 minutes.
Right, and that's just effort from our defense. They just keep getting after it. And again, our goal this year is to try to limit the big plays defensively, and so we want teams to have to drive the ball on us. And so we feel like eventually, if we can make teams drive the ball on us, something negative is going to happen. And right there, you saw the bad snap, and we were able to kind of make a play off of it. So there's Lorenzo Lewis's interception. Again, this was a tight ball game at the time, and they tried to pump us with it, and we got pressure right there. That was Anthony Contreras and Caden Hodson going through and getting pressure on the quarterback, and then he kind of throws it up, and Lorenzo Lewis is sitting there. We actually had two there. We didn't know who was going to intercept it, but Lorenzo did a good job going up, and then Drew kind of takes the receiver out behind him, and we're able to make the play, and we're able to, again, we went down the field. I think that was the Pavlis touchdown right after that we scored on. So, again, anytime we get a turnover, we want to lead to points, and so we were able to score points off of that.
Interceptions are caused by pursuit. And look at the 4 or 5 guys you had around.
Yep, again, getting pressure up front on the quarterback, and then, again, just forcing him to throw up the ball. And, we've had times where that ball's just been knocked down before. So anytime we can possess it, that's big for us. And so that's one thing we preach is turnovers. And so anytime we can get them, we like that. And so you see two guys right there, players of the week. They didn't have a lot of highlights, but we kind of talked about it earlier about making the ball run side to side. And the reason the ball was having to run side to side was because those two guys inside, our two defensive tackles, Josiah Miller and Chris Macias, were kind of plugging up the inside. They did a great job, getting pressure on the quarterback, but they did a great job also just taking away the inside run gaps and making the ball bounce. And so those were our two defensive players of the week last week. All right, Carl, before we start talking about next week's opponent, I want to show a couple clips up here. We're going to show our offensive crush, our big hit, and our big play of the week. So we'll start right here with our offensive crush. This was number 50, Aiden Villalobos. He's a junior right tackle for us on Ryan Garcia's big run on the 40-yard line right there. He just gets underneath that guy, just knocks him on his rear end, and then just kind of gets on top and pancakes him, as we say in football terms. But just does a great job getting up to the next level. That's a safety coming down. And we tell those offensive linemen, anytime you got a chance to go hit somebody with a small number, do it. And that's exactly what he did right there. He just pancakes the kid and gets him to the ground. So that was our offensive crush for the week.
That has to be one of the most desired opportunities in a game, right?
They love it. They love anytime they get a chance to go hit one of those little guys, they seek them out and they go after them. So, and then when you get to do that and you see it on film the next day, that makes it all worth it.
As a former running back, were you ever the crushed?
I've been crushed once or twice in my day, for sure. I've definitely been on the opposite end of that crush before. So
sure looks pretty though when you're on this end.
You get a big round of applause in film on Saturday when you see that.
And the kids really gravitate to that. They love it.
No doubt. So we'll move on to our big hit this week. We showed the clip earlier, but we'll show it again right here. This was Caden Hodson got the big hit of the week for us, and he wraps up, or Dennis Peterson has him wrapped up, and then boom, right there you see Hodson comes in and knocks both of them down on the ground. And so that's just kind of the motor that he plays with. He's kind of that throwback football player, that old school linebacker, fullback type player that he would almost rather go knock somebody down on the ground than score a touchdown. And so
and he's really not a big guy at all.
He's not tall-wise, but he lives in the weight room. He's a very strong, well put together kid, and he definitely packs a punch when he comes and hits you. And you see right there, boom, just stone colds both those guys and knocks them on the ground. So that was our big hit for the week. And then our last one that we're going to show is our big play. We didn't talk any special teams earlier because we saved it for the big play. This was Artemian Fletcher returning a 91-yard kickoff for a touchdown. So I think in my 5 years being here, this is our first kickoff return for a touchdown. And so he actually drops the ball, picks it up, and we're sitting there going, oh, no, oh, no, oh, no, oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. And there he goes right up the gut. And so that was a big play. Again, the score at the time was 20-10. We were up 14-0, the score was 14-10. We were up 14-0, and they had come back and scored a touchdown and then got a field goal, and they were right back in the ball game. And so this kind of took the wind out of their sail and kind of gave us our mojo back. And so big play for him, just making the one cut. And then we actually, Dart played for us as a freshman this year. Played for us as a freshman, and he's a senior now, but he didn't play his sophomore, junior year. He's been running cross country and basketball, and he decided to come back out from basketball this year, and we're sure glad he did. He's starting at receiver, he's starting at corner, and obviously he's our kick returner. But he was our special teams player of the week this week, and so really excited for him.
You know, you look at films like this as we've done throughout the game. It looked like it was really a team effort overall. You had A, you had B, you had C, and just as we've seen, different segments that you've shown.
Right, and we've preached special teams big this year. Not that we haven't in years past, but we've really sold it to our kids this year. And you go back to the Aldine game, we blocked the punt for a touchdown, and then we get the kickoff return this week for a touchdown. So, you know, special teams are something that can win you a ball game, and that's one thing that we really try to hammer into our kids. And when you see stuff like that come to fruition and see things come about like that, it's really refreshing to see.
And I think also it has as much impact on the defense as it does on the offense.
Absolutely. Everyone gets excited, you know, because even though it's a special teams dart, he's a starter on the offense, he's a starter on the defense. So, you know, his teammates on both sides of the ball, it gives him something to be excited about.
Well, it's also for the parents when they come home, okay, are you going to be a part of it next week?
Absolutely. And that's kind of what we've tried to do. Coach Schaefer, our special teams coordinator, has done an outstanding job trying to make special teams special. You know, we call them the special forces, and we have a theme that we use for each group, and we want our kids to want to be on special teams. And so when kids are fighting to get on the special teams, you know you have something good.
Well, it's a good performance overall, and as you said, 4-letter word, team effort all the way through.
That's it.
Look, the JVs, along with the 2 freshman teams, chipped in with 3 wins, totaling 84 points.
Real proud for those groups. 6. Real proud for the coaches. Real proud for the kids. We're off to a good start. Our JV Orange is 2-0. Our freshman Orange is 2-0, and our JV White, our freshman White is 1-1. Our JV White's 0-2, but they've lost 2 close games, and so they got a chance to. They'll go against Iowa Colony this week to try to get on the winning.
Well, that's good, and we want to mention those each week as much as we can. Right. Okay. This Friday evening, 7 o'clock, you got Memorial Stadium. Jacket plays host to Beaumont United. United is 0-2 on the season. They've lost to PNG, and Brazoswood also upended them by 7 the other night. Tell us a little bit about Beaumont United.
Yeah, we know a little bit more about Beaumont United this year than we did last year. Last year we hadn't played them yet, and so we didn't really know a whole lot about them other than, you know, they were big and fast, and they're still really big and fast this year. And so it's going to be a good matchup for us, especially going into district. They're very similar to an A-Leaf Taylor or an A-Leaf Elsick type of team. Just as far as pure size and speed. So we're gonna have to really do the little things well this week. We're gonna have to make sure we get lined up. We're gonna have to tackle really well because they've got some kids that have big playability. And so one thing we're gonna have to try to do this week is to limit the big plays and make them drive the field. And you know, one thing offensively we want to do is control the clock. We want to run the clock and try to limit their snaps as many, you know, hold them to as little amount of snaps as we can possibly hold them. We don't want to get in a track meet with them, and so that's kind of been the motto all week is to get first downs, move the clock, and then get off the field defensively when we can. And we struggled against them last year defensively, and so it's a big challenge for our kids coming back this year to try to rebound and see if we can't put forth a better effort this year.
Well, when you start a season off, you have non-district games, and then you start the district. This wraps up your non-district.
Right.
You start a real tough district game, but let's play this one at a time. But they've looked real good, I think, in the first 2, and let's see if we can go in 3-0, and then we'll hit district when it comes.
Yeah, it's going to be our homecoming night, so we know we'll have a good crowd there, and it'll be hot, but you know that's what makes it fun, and hopefully for the kids they can go out there and put on another good show for our fans, and we can feel good about ourselves when we walk off the field Friday. But you know, again, United coming in, they got after us last year, and we're fully expecting them to show up and give us their best effort again this year. And they've lost to 2 really good teams, like you said, Brazoswood and PNG, but they've played them tough and they've done some good things. And so we're going to have our hands full Friday night, but that's the challenge that we want, and that's the challenge we hope for, and we're going to show up Friday, and we're going to do everything we can to get after them.
Well, it's a good way to start the district season once you finish your non-district, and I know you'd like to go 3-0, and obviously I think you got a real good chance to do just that.
Right. Yeah, our motto is 1-0 each week, and so if we can go 1-0 this week, we'll wake up Saturday morning feeling 3-0, and but we'll worry about that when it gets there. Right now, we've got to have a good practice today, a good practice tomorrow, and we got to make sure at 7 o'clock Friday night we've blocked out all the distractions from homecoming, and we're ready to go play football.
Well, 2-0 right now, 3-0. We'll finish the non-district, and that'll be just great before we head into a tough district. Carl Gurgis, Coach James Gage, we enjoyed it, and let's go get them next week.
Jacket pride never dies.